Hello and welcome to the Decision Intelligence Podcast, where we have real, candid conversations with thought leaders, practitioners, and tech experts about AI, decision intelligence, and the future of work. I'm your host, Fred Laluio, co-founder and CEO of Era Technology. So today we're going to be talking about Avantor, the life science company, and how it's approaching its decision intelligence journey. And for that, I'm super pleased to welcome our guest, Jared Guckenberger, Vice President Global Supply Chain at Avantor. Welcome, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing well, Fred. Thank you very
It's
much
a
for having me here
pleasure
today.
to have you. So, as we start, tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, how you got there, and then, of course, your role at
Yeah,
Avantor.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, maybe a little bit about my career. I've kind of taken a different path to getting here. So actually, I'm a chemical engineer by degree, of all things. I do have a piece of paper that no one can see here that's on my office that says I really do have the credentials, but you wouldn't want me doing any of that for you today. That's for sure. Um, as far as career, I've been in the industry for about 30 years. I spent about 10 years doing, I'll call it real manufacturing, doing real engineering, high pressure polymerization, at the beginning of my career down in Texas. And then I moved into, I'll call it the phase of my life, which was all about SAP. It was about APO. It was about APS installations, go lives. I like to say back when SAP was new in many regards.
Back
It
when
was
I was
actually a
working there,
really
then.
really great time. Yeah, back when you were working there. This was back big go lives, global go lives, and destructions of supply chain. Sometimes, no, in this case, it went very very well. But I learned a lot during that time frame about supply chain, about decision making in supply chain, and how systems and processes can really aid in the functionality and improvement of everything we're doing in this world. From there, when you spend about 10 years really doing supply chain management, being the global supply chain manager, getting my hands dirty inside of supply chain processes, and then spend some time with doing transformation work in supply chain. And that's actually back then is when I first discovered or was introduced to Era, and of all things, a Gartner conference. Actually, you guys were there, and it was great to
Is
see
it
you
the
there.
Gartner conference in Orlando,
And
the
introduced
big one? Ah, excellent.
yeah, Gartner conference in Orlando. Yeah, many years ago now, many years ago. And from there, we started. Several colleagues of mine started thinking about, how could we use this or use the technology to advance supply chain
Yeah.
in a different way than we were historically doing it back then, with fairly large implementations of different sorts of APSs, et cetera. So it was really fun in thinking on that. And then eventually went to Celanese. I was their global quality manager, and then came to Avantor in 2024 to help lead the supply chain through a transformation. The company is going through a transformation, lining ourselves up better to our marketplace mission to really serve our customers better. And we were transforming the supply chain also at that time, and we still
So
are
tell us
in
about
many
Avantor. For
respects.
those who don't know
Uh,
Avantor that well, tell us a bit about
yeah,
the company, the mission, and
yeah,
the markets you serve, your products, everything.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So Avantor is a leading life science tools company and provides mission critical products for life sciences companies and advanced technology industries. So I know when I first got into Avantor, it's like, what's a life science company? What do they do? And we do production chemicals for those biopharma, biotechnical companies. But also, if you just think about a laboratory, sometimes it's easy to say, hey, remember in college and you going through your lab environments, anything you can imagine that is in that
Yeah.
laboratory, we source and we provide. We are literally with the scientists and in the scientific journey every step of the way in developing and enabling breakthroughs in medicine, healthcare, and technology. From a portfolio perspective, the company's really amazing in that aspect. I mean, the number of SKU and SKU locations we cover is huge. It's a wonderful portfolio for our customers. We have over 300,000 customer
Wow.
locations that we serve. We're in 180 different countries. And from last year, from a revenue perspective, we were about 6.8 billion in revenue. So from a missions perspective, Fred, we're all about how do we improve our customer experience and how do we enable our customers to really deliver and provide the life-changing medicine and healthcare to the population that they're
Amazing
striving
mission,
to do.
obviously, but you're talking about complex organization, network, very large number of SKUs, very large number of client location, but you're also operating in a regulated environment, right? So enlighten us a little bit on your vision and the challenges that you're seeing, you're navigating right now,
Mhm.
right? As an organization, what are the challenges that you're
Yeah.
facing?
Yeah, the regulatory side of it is always a challenge, and we operate in so many different countries, and we have teams that are really focused on that. But I think when you look at supply chain and you look at how in the challenges for the company as a whole, it's really the ever changing market dynamics. It's it, what our customer needs change. You think back to COVID, that was a really crazy time and demand changes and profile changes and what people were needing. Now, even this year, you can go back and look at tariffs, and that's a disruption. So all these disruptions that come in are really just a huge challenge. And how can we respond to this challenge? How can we be more agile? How can we have a better and more complete decision on addressing the supply needs for our customers and working through this? You can't do everything everywhere, right? And you have to make some choices. And as I see the business, as I see things change in our supply chain, it's just things are more
Yeah.
dynamic, they're more rapid, they're more ever coming. And we need to be able to see the problems, sense the problems, and sometimes I like to say it, and then be able to act on those. And that's how can we act decisively and quickly and correctly to the dynamics of the marketplace
Yeah.
that we're involved in. And I
Sorry,
think
go ahead. I say, do you
no,
see the
no,
need
go,
overall
Fred.
to start measuring the impact of the decisions that you're making across the value chain, so changing the perspective, looking at things as an end-to-end value chain as opposed to the traditional I'm doing planning, I'm doing execution, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Do you see, is that something that resonates with you?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think the more we get into a blended ecosystem, and if you think about it in processes, absolutely, it definitely resonates with me completely. Actually, kind of neat in the decision intelligence platform with Era. I love to be able to see, hey, here's the value of this
Sure.
decision we just made, and we're tracking a lot of that. And I think we'll
Yep.
talk a little bit about that maybe later. But in being able to cross those stovepipes, that's where a lot of the power is internal, and I think you have to get expert at that. But from our perspective at Avantor, super critical on how we can integrate closer, get closer, plan better, predict better with our suppliers, because that lets us get a more secure supply chain, be able to make decisions with
Yep.
our suppliers, if you will. And then the same thing on the customer side. How do we get closer, integrate closer, be closer to what our customer needs are so we can make those decisions in tandem and we can see the value actually cross from supplier to us to customer up and
So
down the
you're at a
supply chain.
super interesting moment in time, right? Because you're currently deploying a decision intelligence solution, obviously Era,
Yes.
but uh, tell us a little bit about so you don't have all the results yet. So I think your experience of being able,
No.
deploying right now is going to be very interesting for the audience because you're in the middle of it and the thick of it,
Right.
as we say. But tell us a little bit about how you see DI supporting Avantor's mission, and how do you foresee it delivering value?
Yeah. So as you said, we're right in the middle of a deployment. Matter of fact, it should be within days, within weeks, getting some of our first results. So the teams are really excited about that. They've worked really hard to get these skills up and running right now. As far as our mission goes, I think there's a couple of aspects of this. One, we need to be agile and we need to change quickly. Decision intelligence, the way we're deploying it, it's really allowing us to deploy skills in a very short amount of time relative to most systems you might deploy and things you deploy, and be able to see results quickly. One of the challenges I think we have to execute our mission, which is be agile in response to our customers, is not only see the data, but then act on it. And this is one of the real nice advantages I see with decision intelligence, where we're able to say, hey, this is the way we're going to make a decision. We're selling, let's say in our case, maybe it's a little over 1 million SKU locations a year, something of that nature. We have a huge amount of data that we are trying to monitor and understand. And where decision intelligence is letting us take what we see is taking the machine. And I really appreciate, Fred, how Era phrases this in several of your presentations, where you're really putting the machine next to the associate. It's not about the machine taking over. It's about the associate actually having a better capability of being able to make a decision. And seeing that bond together, that coming together, is where I see the real exciting part here. And we're going to be able to see that and really execute quicker on the skills we have going on. And so I see that we're not only will the value be coming in the associates having a better work experience, we're going to see value coming in inventory being placed at the right spots for our particular use case right now. Also value in being able to connect closer to our suppliers when we have something we need to rush or escalate or move faster because demand's gone up, or maybe move slower because demand's gone down. Trying to take a little bit of that churn out of the supply chain that we have and better respond to our customer needs. So
we'll
really
talk how you get started in a minute, but I want to stick to you. You were talking about the first skill. So I think I'm curious about, I'm kind of changing the order of the questions a little bit, but you decided to focus initially on inventory and procurement, right? That's what you're deploying. Tell us a bit more about why these areas, what you're trying to achieve, and you touched on that already, which I think is super interesting. How will the DI solution work with the operators, and how is it going to work? What does it actually?
No, absolutely. So we're going to focus in, and you say inventory and procurement. We're going to focus in on some very focused areas in those spaces. So on the procurement side, it's going to be all about our prioritization of our purchase orders. So understanding how to prioritize and how to move them around, and then also cancellations and reductions. And in those cases, really trying to control any excess inventory we have coming into our DC network. How they work? I mean, they're really scanning our data. They're watching our demand and our utilization, and then as they understand and they see where we stand relative to our availability, starting to make recommendations to our associates to cancel, remove, or change how those POs are operating. One really neat part of this is that once they do that and they see this, they look at the data, they're able to accept, reject, modify the recommendation, which is really, really nice. But in these processes, they hit accept, we're actually having communications go out to the vendors. And the vendors are actually responding back. And in time, we'll see those come back and be able to automate.
So with the vendors in the portal, right? You're sending them an email. What's the process?
Right. We're sending them an email. Right now, we're sending them an email with an Excel sheet with the recommendations we're asking, the changes we're requesting in this case. And they'll be responding back with a response to that Excel file. Assuming that comes in just fine, it can just feed straight through the skill. They may also respond with text. And in that, actually, we're excited to be looking at some of the agentic AI coming in, and that'll be more of a phase 2, but bringing that on and take it, and so we can actually read the emails and start making some of those recommendations into the tool. What's really great though is you always have the associate there that can still say, hey, I agree or I disagree with any of these recommendations or what's going on until we have enough evidence that we can start
Well,
looking
till
at
you
some
have
automation,
enough
right?
enough data
In that,
memorized so that the system can start generating the confidence score, and
yeah.
the confidence score drives
Well,
automation. I think your other about
and,
the being able to read unstructured data. I think that the technology is just mind-boggling. How fast
oh,
it's moving right now.
uh,
It's
well,
impressive.
it's not. Yeah, that's great on how quick that's moving and how much we're going to be able to do with it. But along the way, I think the Era was actually introduced to Avantor by our automation group actually a few years before I got here. So it was kind of interesting talking to them. But Chandra had brought up a real way he was looking. He said, "No, Era is letting me take all of this AI stuff, this ML stuff, and bringing it full circle back to action." So you got the agentic icon, but this let me bring it all the way back to action and back into the system and make something actually
It,
change
I'm glad you said
because
that
of it.
because we've been working on this for 8 years. 8 years. And I've been working on the idea, and Sharik, our co-founder and CTO, working on it for more longer than that. And it's incredibly exciting to see this profound excitement in the market around agentic and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of fluff. And the point that we're trying to push with the company today is that Era allows you to operate your business with
Mm-hmm.
different flavors of AI, agentic, generative, decision intelligence. But the word operate is the key. You can do pilots, but here you're going to be operating
Yeah.
part of your business. You're going to be canceling POs thanks to that technology. And to operate, you need to scale, you need to trust, you need to maintain, you need to validate, you need to engage with different type of skills. So the generative computation or the algorithmic computation is a part of a system, and being able to operate at the core to run your business with these algorithms is what we do. So I'm glad you said
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I will tell you, when I look at this and I look at Era and what it's delivering me, it's one of the few technologies that we bring in that actually is going to allow us to really fundamentally change the way we work, right? Um, I said it to the challenge on the team because we're working on it, and the question is, hey, well, do I still need to go to my email? Do I still need to go to Power BI? Do I need to go? Now, listen, no. Everybody, you can do the whole
yeah.
thing inside of here. If they need to leave the tool, that's kind of a failure. But there is no more of this. I go read an email, I go pull up a report, I go now into SAP, find the transaction I need, go edit something, hit it. Now I bring it in, I see the recommendation, I agree with it. If I agree with it, accept it, modify it, delete it. The speed of just that interaction, the removal of wasted motion, the removal of wasted work, non-value added time is
Yeah,
just
our
is
good
going to be
friend
quite the
Professor
multiplier.
Fuller, who just did a preparation for a conference. He'll be speaking on a panel on the future of work, and he's the co-chair of the Future of Work initiative at Harvard Business School. And he calls that the dull repetitive work. And I think the dull repetitive work is exactly it. Is like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I remove that from your plate to allow you to work on edge cases, to
Yeah.
allow you to train the systems and
Mm-hmm.
get that level of agility. You talked earlier, Jared, about a need for agility. Agility will come from the fact that you don't spend 60, 70, 80% of your time doing exactly what you said, which is, I'm going to look in that system. And by the way, your information worker, your planner, your logistic, part of their value today is knowing where to look. That goes away, and a new value
Yeah.
gets created. Knowing how to engage, knowing how to train, know how to make sense of that new data set. So that's super exciting. So I've got a question for you. Um, you said you joined Avantor in 2024. I heard that right. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that before, but I'm just repeating it for the audience. And we're in 2025, and you're very close to going live, if I'm not overstating where you are. Um, so walk me through how you got started. I mean, everybody has kind of FOMO or even
Yeah.
COMO now, certainty of missing out if they don't do something. But then getting started, picking up the right skills slash areas or use cases to work on, convincing folks internally, bringing the village together to make this a reality, which we're so excited you're about to really feel the impact very soon. Tell us about that journey. How did you do it? And you did it pretty fast, pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you. So
Yeah.
getting started is hard. I mean, not
No,
not because of error or anything,
any
just getting
project.
started in anything, right? Is like the hardest part. Uh, we were really fortunate at the time from a speed perspective. We were actually working with Ernest Young EY on another program, and then they partnered with us to run a POC for ERA. So I had talked to it was a lot of discussion, visioning, right, with our IT groups, with supply chain, with some of the business people, because you need
Of
a
course.
few people on your side when you're bringing this to life. So we partnered with them, and then we actually used the what's it the
Test drive.
test the what's it the test drive to so we could actually partner not only with EY, put on the test drive, let our associates get a firsthand, a touch
That's right.
feel of it. Because one of the key things here, the questions you ask, right? How many systems or processes have we ever deployed that they never quite make it? How many SAP deployments have been and they're still using Excel spreadsheets at the end of the day, right? In those kind of things. Here it was, let's go prove to the organization how change ready this tool is, how simple it is to go in, understand, and execute
Yeah.
when done correctly. And I think that was a huge leveraging point because once we did that, we got in, we had I think it was like we did a lead time skill and I think safety stock or something like that. Is just the test cases inside the test drive. But once we did that, now the team's going, oh, I think I get it. We run a workshop and then we end up with a list of over 70 different use cases that is coming from the ground floor up, not
Yep.
not not top down.
Yeah.
Now we have this, and then so we start talking to all of our sponsors, and we called it down to about our top 10 business cases. Not every idea was one that we would want to do here, but get to our top 10, and then bringing that forward. We ended up linking up with a synergy, right? So what was not only a good business case, but what was also something the business was trying to drive? OTIF, on time and full performance. And we wanted to get some of our slow moving inventory down. So we focused in on those areas, going a little bit to where the organizational energy was too. In on that and try to drive those
Talk
those
to us.
particular
Talk to
cases.
us about that
Um,
effort. You talked about a test drive, so that's basically an environment that we can deploy to allow exactly your operators to put their hands on the wheel. Literally, it's not a wheel; it's a
yeah,
keyboard, but it's the same thing. Uh, but talk about the effort. How long? How many people? How did you get organized just to do that? How big or difficult was it?
yeah, man, that feels like it's a little bit of time ago. We've done so much since then. But yeah, I think it was over the course of what
Yeah.
30 days, I believe, is what we did to test in and out. I mean, we were working actually over the holidays at this time. So it was really great working with Era and the teams to set this up. But I think we had the system plugged in, up and running in a matter of weeks. I mean, we're not talking months, weeks, to stand up. We did a training over the course of 1 or 2 weeks, and then we had the people in there testing, and we involved, I don't know, probably, as I think about it, probably close to
Yeah.
15, 20 different Avantor associates that could go in, test, run, do different scenarios. We also had the IT teams there. Let's check out the crawlers and the interface and how is that working, and from an environment perspective, did it work out well? But all in all, we were able to get through and around that test drive from, I think, start to finish, with Christmas and Thanksgiving in the middle of all of these things,
That's
really in
amazing.
about 45
Yeah.
days. So it was pretty neat. It was a push, but
And
pretty neat.
let's I know the time is running a little bit, but let's look at your going
Yeah.
live. You've done the right
Mhm.
steps initially by involving the associates early on the process, even before you decided to formally go with that solution. This is a very smart approach. But tell us about your vision to drive adoption and build confidence as you go live now.
Yeah. So, I mean, as building the skills through here, we tried to make sure we were involving the associates that knew the process. They knew what we were deploying, and really they've been instrumental in the discussion, the setup of the decision intelligence first wave, and on how we're going to roll it out. So, let me say, I mean, most of the rollout plan, most of how we're going to do this are the associate leading those particular skills, their ideas and thoughts on how to do this, working with ERA and working with EY in this case too. But we're going to be bringing it up. We'll bring it up in, I'll call it in phases or in stages. So let's take the stock rebalancing skill first. We'll bring it up for a section of our warehouses. We have a kind of a buffer as we test it and we gain experience with it and we understand it in production data, because it's always a little bit different when you're working with production data than test data. And we work through that. They have a plan to then, I'll call it, get it less and less liberal or be more judgmental on our inventory and start, I'll call it, squeezing more on the skill as we gain experience, so that we can understand we're not going to just let it go wild, right, on the system. And then from there, they have already set up a phase 2 to say, how do we extend into the next level of warehouses? And they've already identified many millions of dollars worth of inventory we think we can actually rebalance out once we reach out into that space. In addition, we're trying to stand up some people inside, right? So how do we have internal resources to be able to really work to do some of the changes, to be our own internal COE? And this one, I will say, it's a challenge. I wish we had stood this team up sooner, faster, more in it. But it's always one of those, it's kind of tough to involve people until you have something to involve them with. So there is this kind of, like, I think it's transition, this mushy period where you don't quite have them on and you want to have them on. But we have them all going through the training, and it's a pretty extensive training that ERA provides. And they'll be involved with the go lives. They're going to be involved with the issue resolutions, the hypercare. And don't tell anyone yet, but I also have a crew of them. I said, go over there, go make something. Go make a skill in the quality box.
You mentioned
I don't care what it is.
70 skills you want to make. So you got to get going, man.
Yeah, certainly. Go in there and say, yeah, don't tell her, we're going to use more than no. But in all honesty, go in there and go experiment. The people know the business. The COE that we're standing up have been working quite closely with other process people, and let's get in there. I think the other thing of, we'll call it trust and adoption, is we're taking learnings from this case. We've taken feedback. One thing we could have probably done better when we started was to do a little bit more process work on some of the skills we were doing. So we have a little bit different processes between, of course, let's say, North America and Europe. We could have done a little bit better process work in that, probably eliminated some redo we had in the last 4 months. So we're going to take some of that feedback in when we go to the next level. But we're already saying, hey, with these ideas, what people are thinking, what is that next wave of skills? And we're crossing over into talking with our customer service organization. There's a whole wealth of space there. So from an adoption point of view, it's really not about these 2 or 3 skills that we're putting in now or 4. It's really about the larger application, the larger vision of our work really changing as an organization and taking our resources and really we're communicating. Because people look at this, right? Some of my work is getting absorbed by this. And we point out to them, and this is one of this trust, the adoption side. No, true. But we're going to go deeper with these decisions. We used to, let's say, draw a line at $10,000 for this. No, we're going to go all the way down. Or we could only do England. No, we're going to do all of Europe now. So it's going to be more expansive. But then, just like you said, Fred, we're going to be able to take the work, instead of doing this transactional work. Let's go do the things that humans need to do. That let's go engage with our suppliers. Let's get face to face. Let's talk about how we can really improve and change this space. That's where we need the energy when it comes to
That's
our
where you get
people
the real
engagement.
the ultimate value, right? As you engage with your
Yeah.
network, you bring your suppliers in the process, you engage with them differently, and yeah, and you mentioned 70 skills, and I think you're doing this at an incredibly interesting time. We'll be talking about this extensively in a couple of weeks at our conference, but the ability to now to
Mhm.
digitize the decision logic, not using the deterministic approach, but using generative, is changing the game. So we think about what we've done for the last 8 years, enabling companies to digitize decision making. The hard part has always been the same. I mean, for us, we resolved the data problem, the scalability. We got everything sorted pretty well in the platform. It took a long time, a lot of money, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I don't want to make it sound easy, but the part that remained hard is you have your decision logic and you have to basically codify it in the tool. Now we provide capabilities to do that better, faster, but it's still a codification. So
Mhm.
now with the agentic and the generative approach, you can prompt that logic. It still needs to attach itself to all the different tools, the different engines, the data, the engagement, the learning, all that stays, but just the logic itself, which is the hard part, because exactly what you said, Jared, earlier, like, well, we designed the process that way for North America, but there's a slightly, so the way you modify it for a specific region or a specific product line or whatever you're doing, is going to be a lot easier, faster, but it's completely new. So you're going to have to learn, relearn, unlearn, and it's happening now. It was not 6 months ago. It wasn't. No, 6 months ago we were able to say, "Oh, sure, you want to read emails, you want to look at unstructured data and bring it into Era." That works. But now it's really the next level of reasoning that you're bringing into the platform, and the next level of engagement. You were talking earlier about sending a letter to, or email, sorry, to your suppliers. There's another level of engagement and reasoning, and that's going to give you the ability to
Oh yeah.
go and tackle those 70 skills at a speed that was unthinkable of just a year ago. So super excited about the next steps with you. As we wrap up, Jared, any last thoughts, any advice for the folks listening today that are thinking about decision intelligence?
Yeah, I mean, uh, for me, I think as we look at this, this is this way to go. And if you're thinking about it, if you're having some questions about it, like I said, getting started is the hardest part. Jump in, find a place that there's energy and value, and you just need to do one.
Just
You
do
need
it.
to do
Heard
one.
that before.
Let's forget and just do it out there. And I think, Fred, as you just expressed there, the platform's ever changing, improving. There's new capabilities coming in, and I think that's really exciting too from the front. But if you're getting ready to get into this, I mean, I think contacting you guys, your Era is really great to work with in the space, easy to deal with from that perspective, and we just you just need to pull off the band-aid and run with it, um, and go. So it's a lot sometimes to adjust. It is a different way of working, I think, than most people are very used to. But it is a transformative way to actually
Jared,
work in
thank you
business.
so much. I think we're gonna rebrand this or relabel this podcast from Avantor, building smarter life science supply chains with decision intelligence, to just do it. I think that's the key. That's, I think we need to find another name. I think that's better. Listen, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time for sharing your insights. I cannot wait to bring you back if you're game in 6 months, and see where you
Yeah,
are, or in a year, whatever the time works for you, and see where you are on the journey,
oh,
because we
absolutely.
are at Era super excited. I'm personally super excited about the speed at which you're deploying, the direction that you're giving to your initiative, and the ambition that you've brought to the project as well.
Uh-huh.
So super excited, super grateful for the partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and anytime I'd be
Thank
more than
you.
willing to come
And
back.
as we conclude, you can view today's podcast on our website at eratechnology.com. Thank you very much.